I am so excited for you to open your Pack kit and get started with your first Pack. Okay, you're going to open your kit, lay out all your pieces, and there you'll find everything you need to complete the Pack. You have your straps, your anchors, which is that long piece there that we're going to cut down, your handle, your front and back, your zipper gusset, which includes 2 panels and a zipper, all of the hardware pieces you'll need to complete the bag, your side gusset, and your base. Let's get started. First things first, we're going to get started with our zipper. So we're going to set aside our side gusset panels on top of our base, and we're going to grab both of our zipper panels and our zipper. You can also set aside all of your other pieces and your hardware for now. Okay. First thing we're going to do is flip our zipper panels to the wrong side. So that's a vinyl side face down. And we're going to line one long edge of each zipper panel with double-sided tape. You want to make sure that your zipper tape or your double-sided tape doesn't hang over the edge of the fabric. It's much harder to peel it off from there. So we're going to take off our first double-sided tape, and what I like to do is make sure it sticks to the fabric first, fold your fabric away, and the paper will just pop up. And then you can peel it. We're going to center that onto our zipper, letting an overhang of the zipper on each end, and we want about 1/8 to 1/4 inch distance between your zipper teeth and the edge of your vinyl. That way you see your pretty zipper tape when everything is all sewn, but you also have an overlap here of the 2 pieces so that when you sew down 1/8 of an inch from the edge of your vinyl, you're going to catch both pieces here. Okay, and repeat to the other side. Okay, once you're happy with your placement, you can take it to your sewing machine and you're going to sew 1/8 of an inch in from each edge of your vinyl. Let's go. All right, so again, we're just going to sew 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, the inside edge of your vinyl. When you're done, you've sewn through both layers, both your zipper tape and your vinyl. All right, from here, we're going to go ahead and add our zipper pulls. All right, so if you've never done this, you have in your zipper pull, you have the separator here, okay, and you can see that from the other side. So we're going to start with opening our zipper. So you're going to peel it just like a candy wrapper, front to back, not side to side. Don't just pull apart this way because that pulls the zipper teeth, it stretches your tape. You don't want that. So first thing we're going to do, if you are right-handed, you're going to start with your non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, I'm going to start with my left hand. You're going to put your zipper teeth in to the separator, but not past it. See how it's sitting there, and the zipper teeth are right there, right where the separator stops. Then you're going to take your dominant hand and you're going to slide that right in the other side so that they match up. Once they match up right there, you're going to push so that they click together. Then you can grab your zipper teeth on the bottom and slide the zipper pull right on. If you find that they're not even or that you pucker on one side or another, pull it back out just enough so that they separate, realign those teeth, that first set of teeth, and put it on. I know I made that look way easier, but you can pause it, rewind it, and start right over with that. Practice, practice, practice. There are also tools out there that can help you with this. Once you have your first one on, you're going to put the second one on as well. So I'm going to flip over and do the same thing. Just like that. and then we're gonna meet them in the middle. Okay, the next part, we're gonna make sure to grab the ends of our vinyl, match that up, and we're just gonna follow it over and mark the centers on both sides of your vinyl pieces. The reason we did not do this before starting is we like to get that vinyl sewn onto the zipper beforehand so that you don't accidentally cut both sides of the zipper. Because remember, here we just have an overlay. So now that both sides of our zipper are marked, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. All right, for the next step, we're going to open up our D-rings. I love these packs to keep everything nice and separate until we need it. And we're gonna grab our nylon webbing, and we need to cut this webbing down into 3-inch pieces. So we're gonna end up with 5 3-inch pieces, not 3 5-inch pieces. So we're gonna measure 3 inches, and we're gonna cut 3 inches, and then cut. Now, each one of those is going to match up to a D-ring. So we're gonna slide the webbing through our D-ring, and then we're just gonna sew the end together. Just the end, not up here, just the ends. We're just tacking everything together so that it stays put. Now that our D-rings are done, you can also go through and heat seal each edge because the nylon webbing is kind of notorious for shredding and falling apart. So you want to make sure they're good and solid. We're going to take 2 of our D-rings and we're going to attach them to the ends of our zipper gusset now that we have our zipper pulls on. So on each end of the gusset, you want the tab of your webbing to hang off the edge of the vinyl. You want this overlap. We're going to put that in place. You want about 1 inch from the edge of the vinyl to the top, to the edge of the webbing. And we're just going to tack that in place with 1/8 inch right here along the vinyl to put it in place. Okay, once you have those centered on your gusset, you can go ahead and stitch those in place. All right, now that those are stitched, you can cut off the excess of your zipper. So make sure you don't cut your webbing, but you can cut the excess of your zipper off. Leave this webbing overhang. You want that to stay there. Additionally, as you go through, you can add a webbing ending. So you can add either a piece of vinyl just to cover the edges. I would do about a 1/2 inch, and you would just cover and stitch that in place just to finish off those raw edges. Or you can leave them as is, just make sure you heat seal them. All right, so now that we're ready for our side zipper gusset panels, we're going to take what we set aside here. This is our base and our zipper gusset panels. You want to make sure that the base and the panels are the same width. So you're not going like this, where the panel is shorter than the width of the base. We want to go this way. So once you have that, your zipper gusset, your base, and your side gusset pieces should all match. You're going to take one side gusset piece and lay it face down. Line up this raw edge, and you're going to sew that at 1/4 inch. And then we're going to repeat to the other side. Once you've sewn that together at 1/4 inch seam allowance, you'll flip your side gusset piece out, and we're going to top stitch 1/8 inch straight down the side. All right, now that our zipper panel gusset is complete, we're going to set that aside and we're going to mark some spots on other pieces. So with your base, we're going to mark the centers on the front and back. That's going to match up to our clear front and back pieces. I always put a notch in to mark my centers. As long as you keep that within the seam allowance, you're golden. Okay, now we're also going to mark some centers on our clear pieces. So we're going to mark the top and the bottom centers. And you'll do that by folding it in half. And you could do this right sides together, wrong sides together, as long as they match and you find your center. Okay, we're going to tie up some loose ends here, so you're going to decide which one you want for your front and which one you want for your back. Mine are almost exactly the same, so I'm just going to pick one. This is going to be my back piece. So we're going to take our remaining webbing pieces. We're going to line the first one up to that center mark and clip that in place. Again, you want the edge of your vinyl to be about 1 inch away from the edge of your webbing, okay? So that's gonna stay in place there. And then the remaining pieces, you wanna find the edge of the fabric, measure about 1 inch up, and that's where your side pieces, your side webbing is gonna go. Anchors, anchors. Okay, and then same thing on the other side. You want them to match. Now you can always fold this in half to make sure that your webbing pieces match up, because you want whatever you do on one side to match the other side so everything is even. Now we're going to go ahead and tack those 3 pieces into place. All right, we are going to prep our handle, and to do that we're going to line each long edge with double-sided tape. Again, I like the 1/8 inch double-sided tape. You're going to line the edges, but don't go off the edges of your fabric. And that way it's easier to pull up when you're ready. Now this part is a little tricky. We're gonna fold this piece into thirds. So the first part that I'm going to do is peel one side of the double-sided tape, and I'm going to fold that right about there. And this just takes a little bit of practice. This piece is 1 inch wide. If you want a thicker handle, you can cut a piece wider. But there you go, there's one side. All right, that's good and stuck. Now I'm gonna pull the tape off of the other side, and I'm gonna fold that side right over to the edge of the first fold. Just like that. Okay, now I'm just gonna stitch that in place, and that will become my handle. Ta-da! Now that our webbing is in place, we're gonna go ahead and stick our handle on. And again, we want that overhang. So we're gonna give it about the same amount of overhang as your webbing pieces. And you want about 1 inch in between each side here. And we're just gonna tack that in place on the machine. Make sure that your handle is nice and flat and it's not twisted. So you want this to be able to be hung on, you know, whatever you're trying to hang it on. All right, next comes a slightly tricky part. We're gonna attach our gusset zipper panel to our main piece. So remember how we made the marks here? That's gonna be your center. We're gonna center that panel up first. And I like to clip it on either side of the webbing. Then I don't clip down first. I actually go down and start from the side. So I match up my corners first on both sides, making sure that we're even. And then once the center and sides are clipped, you're gonna move your clips and start clipping from the bottom back up to the center. Making sure that you match up all of your edges as you go. All right, making sure that you're easing everything together so it's all lined up. We're now going to sew that outer edge at 1/4 inch all the way around, from corner up around to the bottom corner. Okay, now we're going to turn it out and top stitch all along this side. I like to start on this side where I can see everything. So I'm gonna fold my freshly sewn seam, fold your gusset away, and we're gonna top stitch right inside of the vinyl fold. Make sure that you're pulling your seams out so that your seam allowance is nice and flat. Now that our back is on and top stitched, see that pretty top stitch? There we go. Now we're going to repeat to the other side. So we're going to fold this back technically inside out, and we're going to repeat matching up our centers. Make sure that your vinyl is facing the right sides together. Start with your center clip, move to your corners, and then work your way back up. Now, when you're getting ready to sew this part, I do find it easier to sew it with the zipper open. So you're just going to separate your zippers here. We're going to fold this piece out of the way. Actually, we're going to do it this way. You want to make sure that everything can stay nice and flat as you go along. I like to have the zipper open so that I can help line this up as I go instead of trying to maneuver the whole piece. So we're going to be able to hold this side closer and line up all of our raw edges as we go. Now that we are stitched all the way around here, we need to top stitch. In order to do that, we have to open this up and we're going to sew from the inside. So we're going to go inside of our bag first, and then we're going to fold it over just like that so that this piece is nice and flat. Okay, then we're gonna sew 1/8 of an inch till we get all the way around to the other side. Take this part nice and slow. You wanna be nice and even because you want it to be pretty on both the front and the back for your top stitching. Now, when you get to the point where you can't really see anymore, you're gonna do the same thing that we started with. Pull this side of the bag over so that everything is nice and straight and flat and you can lay it down in front of you. Last but not least, for the bag construction itself, we're gonna add our base. So again, on our base, we marked our center pieces here and we marked the centers on the bottom of your clear here. So let's start with that on one side. We're gonna clip across. Now here's the fun part. Your base and your vinyl should be the same width. So you're gonna lay that down straight across, make sure that they match up. And when we sew this together, we are only going to sew from seam to seam. So right here where our seam starts, that's where we're gonna sew. So we're not going to sew this last 1/4 inch, and you'll see why when we get there. So go ahead and start your seam. Your seam allowance here is gonna be 1/4 inch straight across, but do not go all the way to the end of the fabric. Leave that seam free. So start here and go straight across. Again, do not go to the edge. Leave 1/4 inch open on both sides. All right, again, we're gonna leave 1/4 inch free on this side. So you're gonna start your stitching 1/4 inch away from the edge at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so you have a free flow here. Free 1/4 inch there and a free 1/4 inch on this side, just like that. Okay, now we're gonna flip the right side of our base up to the right side of the other side of the vinyl and do the same thing. All right, now here comes the fun part. So where your stitching stopped on the clear vinyl only, so you're gonna separate your clear vinyl from your base and you're gonna put just a little slit in just the clear vinyl, right where your stitching stopped. Make sure you don't cut your stitching, make sure you don't go past your stitching. Now that our clear vinyl is clipped there at the seam, we're gonna open up our corners and match up our raw edges, just like this. Okay, everything should be nice and flat. And a good way to do this too is you can open your bag up and fold your main pieces out so that that edge is nice and flat. Okay, and then we're gonna sew this edge, and you can clip your vinyl so that it stays put while you sew that edge together. So just like that on the machine, just here. And then we're gonna repeat the same thing to the other side. So it's kind of like boxing corners, but not really boxing corners. So opening it up, lining up your raw edges, just like that. So you can clip your vinyl, match up your raw edge. Uh-oh. And then we're gonna sew those two pieces, this side and this side, on the machine, just like that, just like that. Okay, don't forget to cut off your excess seam allowance in your corners. All right, now that your base is on, you should be able to flip it over and it should look just like a box with your stitching. Just like a box with your stitching. Now you've cut your corners, you have your tabs. This is excess, this should stay there. We're gonna go ahead and flip him right side out. For each strap, you're going to need your strap piece and 2 clasps and 1 adjuster. We're going to start with one end of our strap and our adjuster. The center piece here, we're going to wrap the end of our webbing around the middle, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and fold that raw edge in, and then fold that raw edge right over that center piece. So now you have your piece stuck, and we're gonna sew that fold right there, down at 1/8 inch away from the fold. Okay, next, we're gonna take the folded side, hold that right side up. We're going to take the end of the strap and we're going to feed our first clasp through. Just like that. So the straight part of your clasp should be on the same side as your fold. Then we're going to take the end of our webbing and come back, up and down the separator. Just like that. And now you have on one end the clasp and on one end the adjuster with one more raw edge. On that raw edge, we're going to attach our last clasp. So we're going to put that on. Again, the bar side goes on the back side of your folds, and we're going to do the same thing. Fold your raw edge over and fold it over that bar. And then we're going to stitch that on. Once that's stitched, you're going to repeat for the other strap. Now that your backpack is done and both straps are done, let's put it together.